Hello everyone. The third chapter in the second unit is confidentiality using symmetric encryption. Confidentiality using symmetric encryption. We all know the meaning of the confidentiality. Just revise the meaning of the confidentiality, or what is the definition of confidentiality. In confidentiality, we give an assurance that the message is opened by the correct receiver. In confidentiality, we can assure that the message is opened or accessed by the correct receiver. Here, we have to provide the confidentiality service using symmetric encryption. So, for that purpose, we have to know where we have to place the encryption function and how we have to manage the key, and all these things are discussed in this topic. So confidentiality using symmetric encryption. Let's just revise the once again the definition of the symmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption means a common key or a single key is used between both by the sender and receiver. Using that concept, by using or by sharing the common key between the sender and receiver, we have to provide the confidentiality service. Where this confidentiality service arrives? This confidentiality service arrives from the public key cryptography or public key encryption. Here we are using public key encryption concepts in symmetric encryption. In symmetric encryption, we are using the public key concepts in the symmetric encryption. Confidentiality is the one of the service which we discussed in the public key encryption. Using that symmetric, that confidentiality service, we are implementing it in the symmetric encryption. So here we in order to provide the confidentiality service, first of all we have to identify where the attacks will happen, and then after identifying the attacks we have to place an encryption function to overcome those attacks. For representing that, consider this diagram. Here it is an organization. It is an organization. If we observe clearly in this diagram, here the diagram consists of three parts. We can categorize this diagram into three parts. One is an workstation, and another one is the telecom central office, and another one is a frame relay or an ATM network. Here in this organization, we have to identify the places where there is a chance of vulnerability. Here we have to identify the places where there is a chance of vulnerability. What's the meaning of vulnerability? Vulnerability means the place where an attack will happen. So first of all, observe the LAN. Here, a LAN. To the LAN, the workstations are connected. What is the meaning of a LAN? A LAN is a local area network. LAN offers the broadcasting transmission technology. What is the meaning of broadcasting transmission technology? Broadcasting transmission technology. Here, whenever a packet arrives to the station which are connected to the LAN, the station simply announces that whose IP address is this. The station announce or broadcast whose IP address is this. After listening that announcement, any one of the station can accept that the packet, that is called the broadcasting transmission technology. The best example of broadcasting transmission technology is announcement in the railway stations, or in some if we consider any announcements, those are comes under the broadcasting transmission technology. So LAN uses the broadcasting transmission technology. Since all the workstations are connected to the LAN, the LAN itself is a place of vulnerability. The first point is the LAN itself is a place of vulnerability. And next, this LAN is connected to the communication server. LAN is connected to the communication server. All these are mentioned in the diagram itself. LAN is connected to the communication server. So communication server, the communication server is itself a place of vulnerability. From the diagram we identify two places. One is the LAN. LAN is the first place of vulnerability, and second one is the communication server. The communication server is itself a place of vulnerability. This communication server is connected to the wire closet, and from the wire closet there is a communication from the outside the world. So wire closet is itself a place of vulnerability. From the wire closet, we are communicating with the outside of the organization through telecom central office or through the frame relay or ATM network. Here, this frame relay or the ATM network is a place of vulnerability, and telecom office is a place of vulnerability. All these are the places of vulnerabilities. So, from the diagram, this diagram represents an organization. Since it represents an organization, we are identifying the possibilities of vulnerabilities. What are those possibilities? One is the LAN. The first vulnerability is a local area network. And next, since the local area network is connected to the wire communication server, the communication server is itself a place of vulnerability. After that, it is connected to the wiring closet. The wiring closet is a place of vulnerability. And next, from the wiring closet, the organization is communicating with the telecom central office and frame relay or an ATM network. This telecom office or frame relay or ATM network is the places of vulnerability. So here we, after identifying these places of vulnerability, we have to provide the confidentiality for the message. So in order to provide the confidentiality for this message, we are using the traditional encryption approach, that is called the symmetric encryption. Using symmetric encryption, we are providing the message confidentiality. Why we have to provide the message confidentiality? Because in this diagram we consider an organization and we discussed the places of vulnerabilities. So to overcome the attacks on the different places, we have to choose two types of methods which are described in this slide. So that is since we identify the places of vulnerabilities, we have to place an encryption function. So where we have to place and when we have to place has to be known. If we want to place an encryption function, we have to know what we have to encrypt and where we have to place the encryption function. For that method, we have two approaches. One is the link encryption and another one is an end-to-end encryption. Link encryption. This encryption occurs independently on every link. It implies that decrypt traffic between the links and it requires many devices but paired keys. In link-to-link encryption means that the encryption device is placed at the source side, and again the encryption device is placed at the destination side. Once we place the encryption side at the source, starting of the source, and the another encrypting device is placed at the end of the destination. This is called the link-to-link encryption. And end-to-end encryption means encryption occurs between the original source and the final destination. And we have to use the devices with the shared keys. So this diagram clearly represents the placement of the encryption network. So in this diagram, if you observe that here there is a communication server and this communication server is connected with the packet switching network, and here there are two devices. Here we have two devices. Here there is some dotted oval shaped. It represents the end-to-end encryption. End-to-end encryption means which is started from the communication server and it is end with this particular host or a particular device. Again, this communication server is encrypted with source and it is again we are placing at the destination. So that end to end is represented in the darkened part. And another one is a link to link encryption. Here each and every link, for each and every link, encryption devices are placed. In the oval shape, we are not marking, we are not darken that. Here in packet switching network, you all know the switching concepts in the computer networks. So using that switching concepts, we are providing the encryption from the source to destination, and in between the source to destination, each and every link is encrypted with the normal link to link encryption device. So here we have to know some methods while placing the encryption. Already we know the two methods to place the encryption function. One is the end-to-end encryption and another one is the link-to-link encryption, and also we know how we place these encrypted devices. Just we represented in an oval shape and it is an enclosed and it is completely covered with. When we are using end-to-end encryption, must leave headers in clear. So network can clearly route the information. This networking routing information is discussed in the computer networks using routing algorithms like hierarchical routing algorithm, distance vector routing algorithm, and source routing algorithm. Hence, all those contents are protected. Traffic pattern follows are not, and it is ideally wants both at once. End-to-end protects data contents over entire path and provides the authentication. Link protects the traffic flows from monitoring. Here we have to remember one concept. We are using the authentication and confidentiality services which are mentioned in the public encryption. Those services are implemented in the traditional asymmetric encryption. Placement of encryption. We can place the encryption at various levels in OSI reference model. You all familiar with the Open System Interconnection Reference Model, which has 7 layers. What are those layers? Just recollect those layers. One is the physical layer, and second one is the data link layer. Third one is the network layer, and fourth one is the transport layer, and next one is the presentation layer, and next is session layer, and then application layer. So link encryption occurs at the layers of 1 2, means that the link encryption is provided at physical layer and data link layer, whereas end-to-end encryption can occurs in the network layer, transport layer, and presentation layer, and then application layer. That those layers numbers are mentioned here as 3 4 6 and 7. As we move higher, less information is encrypted, but it is more secure through more complex with more entities and keys. Here, where we have to place these encryption functions, here they consider an example. In OSI reference model, lower layers need more encryption than the whenever the data move to the higher layers. So, for that purpose, link-to-link encryption is placed at physical layer and in data link layer, and end-to-end encryption is placed at the 3 4 6 and layers. So, and then so what we can conclude that till now we discussed where we have to place the encryption function. Now another one is the key management using symmetric encryption. Already we discussed the key management in public key encryption. This concept is the management of key using symmetric encryption. So key distribution. So key distribution, you all familiar with the key distribution in public key encryption. In public key encryption, to distribute the key, we use the public announcement, public key authority, certificate authority, public key directory. Like these methods are used to share the key. Here also we have to discuss the how a key is distributed between the sender and receiver. Since it is the symmetric encryption, one key is shared. That is, a common key is shared between the sender and receiver. Key distribution. Symmetric schemes require both parties to share a common secret key. This issue is how to securely distribute that key. Often, secure system failure due to break in the key management system. So, we should be very careful distributing that common key. So, key distribution. Here, what are the methods to distribute the keys? Here, let us think the two parties A and B have various key distribution. One method is A can select a key and physically deliver to the B. One method to distribute a key is A selects a key and physically deliver it to the B. Third party can select and deliver it to A and B. Here, a third party will select the key and deliver it to A and B. Next method is if A and B have communicated previously, they can use previous key to encrypt a new key. Means that if A and B having communicated previously can use the previous key to encrypt a new key. Here A and B are using some key. Using that key, they can generate a new key and they can encrypt the message with that new key. And last method is if A and B have a secure communication with third party C can automatically deliver a key between A and B. These are the methods of the key distribution. One is A selects a key and physically deliver it to B. And next, third party can creates a key and deliver it to A and B. If A and B have communicated previously with a key, they can generate a new key and they can exchange the communications with that new key. If A and B have secure communications with the third party C can depend a key between the A and B. Instead of we are saying the third party, here we mention the third party name as a key. So next we can see the key hierarchy. Since till we are using the single key encryption, there are different types of hierarchies of keys. One is the session key. We all that is the common key is called the session key. After that, so what's a session key? It is a temporary key. It is used for encryption of data between users. And for one logical session, then it is discarded. So what is the session key? The session key is a temporary key. It is used for encryption of the data between the two users. Once the session is completed, the key is discarded. Why we have to discard that key? Because the symmetric encryption, we are using that common key, that single key. Since entire security is depending upon that single key. If we use the same key for every transactions, there is a chance of capturing that key by the other parties. So once the logical session is completed, then it is simply discarded. Master key. What's the master key? Master key is used to encrypt the sessions. A session key, and it is shared by user and key distribution center. So master key, finally what we are concluding, we are giving security for the session key by encrypting with the master key. So session key is represented as KS and the master key is represented as a KM. KS is encrypted with the KM. The diagram shows the key distribution scenario. Here see, one is the key distribution center and another one is the initiator and responder. If you clearly observe, the diagram has three parts, KDC, A and B. And the links are also mentioned. On the links there we are mentioning the numbering. So while you are writing the diagram, you should be very careful in drawing the links and writing the exchanges on the links in a careful manner. So the first link is represented as 1. It is from A to KDC. It is from A to KDC. So on the link 1, what we are saying that identifier A, identifier B and nonce. What's it's communicating that I am the identifier A. I wants to communicate with the identifier B and it placing the nonce, nothing but the timestamp value as N1. What the KDC has to do? The KDC has to distribute the session key for the A in order that A can communicate with B by encrypting the messages with session key. Already we discussed the ways to distribute the session key. In this method, A and B are depending upon the trusted party KDC to distribute the session key or to get the session key. For this purpose, A wants to communicate with B. So that A is transmitting the message to KDC. What is specifying that? Identifier A, identifier B, and it is placing some nonce, a timestamp value. After that, KDC is sending response message to the A. This response message includes that The message placed by the A. What's the message placed by A? Identifier A, identifier B, nonce and session key. That's a one part. And another part is identifier A, session key, and it is totally encrypted with the EKB. KB means the key of the B. Why it has to place it that B's key? Because A has to communicate that key. Using that key, A has to send the messages to B, and then totally it is encrypted with EKB. After that, the A transmits the message or communicates with the B by just picking the message from the message which is get from the KDC to A. What this A picks? A picks that E, KB, KS concatenation operation means that it joins those two messages and identify them. Similarly, next B responds to A by using the EKS session key and placing the timestamp one. Like this, the communication done between the A and B. If B wants to communicate, similarly B also follows the A's method. So in key distribution scenario, what we have to conclude that A and B wants to exchange the messages. For that purpose, they approaches the key distribution center. Oh, key distribution center. The key distribution center, what is the purpose of the key distribution center? The key distribution center issues the session key. So A places a request that I'm identifier A, I'm identifier B and the timestamp. After that, it encrypts the message with the A's placing the A's placed the message and the session key which helps to transmit the messages or send the messages to B, and totally it is encrypted with the EKA. So why it is used EKA? Because that message has to be reached to A. After that, A picks the necessary message which helps to transmit the messages to B, and then they exchanges the messages using the session keys. So, and next one is the random number generators. So, what's the random number generator? Why we use this random number generators? In order to generate the session key, the session keys, we use the random number generator concepts. So, it is a deterministic algorithm techniques to create the random numbers. Although these are not, though they are not truly random, they can pass many tests of randomness, and so they are called the pseudo random numbers. Pseudo random numbers generators. So why we have to use these random numbers means the random numbers are used in encryption or to generate the session keys, use to generate the keys in PGP, which is used in email. So the first one is a linear congruent generator. Here these random numbers are developed using some algorithms. One is a common iterative technique. Here we are using some formula. Xn plus 1 is equal to Axn plus C mod n. It takes or it gives the suitable values of parameter and produce a random like sequence. It is a suitable criteria because the function generates a full period. It generates a sequence and it should appear random, and it is efficient to implement the 32-bit arithmetic, and it has some possibilities so that attacker cannot reconstruct the sequence given a small number of values. So another one is Pringe, pseudo random number generations using the block cipher. So for cryptographic applications, we can use the block cipher to generate the random numbers. Often for creating the session keys from master key, means that we have to create the session keys from master key. So here we use the counter mode and output feedback mode. These two are block cipher modes of which are obtained from the block cipher modes of operations. So the counter mode is having one formula and counter feedback is having another formula. So this here how we generated is represented in this diagram. If we have to give the values of DTI, VI, EDE means encryption, decryption and encryption, and then encryption, decryption, encryption. We have mentioned the three times this encryption, decryption. So the first DTI value is given to EDE, After that, that value is exclusive or with VI, and then this EDE update, and then we get this random number. All this process is involved in this diagram. And another method is the Blum-Blum-Shub generator. It's based on the public key algorithms. It's a least significant bit from the iterative equation. This equation is mentioned here. It is unpredictable and security tests are of very difficult on factoring n, and it is unpredictable given by any run of bits. And why it is why it is used in public key algorithms means it is too slow for cipher use, but it is good for the key generation. Thank you. So what we concludes means the first we discussed where we have to place the encryption function. After that, what is the key management in public key encryption? After that, how we generate the random numbers. So these three topics are comes under the confidentiality using symmetric encryption.